This is week 8 and week 9 of Ready to Love. Stay tuned. Hi there, Simply Subbies. Welcome back to the Simply Stacy YouTube channel. It's your girl Stacy, and I am behind, so we are doing 2 weeks of Ready to Love back to back on this week's episode. We have week number 8, X marks the spot, and then week number 9, Out of Town and Out of Bounds. So let's get to it. Okay, so Ready to Love, episode number 8, X marks the spot. The women are meeting the exes of the men that they, are feeling. So, or at least the men that are feeling the women the most, they're introducing them to their exes. So there's the gentleman lounge with Tommy, and basically he's like, introduce your hope to be to your not anymore. The men seem real uncomfortable with this scenario, and they're definitely not trying to hear it. However, it's the show. They're on the show. This is what they signed up for, so let's get it. The first people up is Cornelius, and his ex's name is Tanika. They talk about his spiritual background. She knows that quite well. She knows his character, and she seems nice to me. You know what I'm saying? Camille comes in. Camille does not know that Tanika is going to be there. She comes right into Cornelius's house and sees these shoes on the ground. And she's like, oh, there's another pair of heels here. So first thing she does, inspect the freaking gadget, is say, okay, it's another female here. Either she's here currently, she's been here, because we take shoes off at your house, and there's another pair of heels right here. So, okay, let's get to it. He's like, okay, yeah, come on in. And basically, Camille he introduces the two of them, but he doesn't say X, I don't believe. I think Camille just stops and was like, what is your relationship to Cornelius? And then she's like, oh, I'm one of his exes. I thought Camille was going to be a lot more turned than she actually was. She had pretty good answers. She was very cordial. Now, she did show her true colors when it got to the end. But basically, Tanika asks Camille how she feels about celibacy and is it a part of her walk. Camille says that she dates with intention and that, she's open to that for sure. She does have a child. But, so basically she was not a virgin, but she is open to that. She says she was engaged, I guess, when she had the child. And then, now I'm like, Camille, stop sharing, because sometimes you be oversharing. So she tells the girl that she was engaged, multiple times. The girl's like, okay, how many? She was like 3. She's like, you never got married? But I'm like, Camille, stop offering up that information. Okay, we all know that you've been engaged 3 times, but it's not anything to brag about. It does not look good. So just child, stop it. Okay, so basically that was a concern of the ex. She was like, okay, she was engaged 3 times. Then what makes you think that you would be ready, another time? She said God was not a part of any of those other 3 times, but she is trying to put God first with her and Cornelius. And so she feels like that could make all the difference in the world. And I mean, I guess. No, if you forgot it, it probably will work. But I just don't know if I'm feeling this. I know she really likes him and he likes her. But it is so many red flags when it comes to Camille that I don't think that they'll have a really good relationship when it's all said and done. Especially because last week when her friends was there and they met him. And they was asking her like, oh, so since when you become celibate? And she's like, I would like to test drive first. So I'm like, so now you're just confusing the scenario or the situation, because you told him you was forward and his ex-girlfriend there, but when you talk to your own friends, you was saying like you want to test drive first, girl, like get it together. Basically on her way out the door, she like, well, how long she gonna stay? And he like, well, we gonna talk for a little bit, I'll call you later. And she was just like getting territorial all over again, like, okay, well, I'm about to leave. I'm like, ma'am, she was there when you got there, and ma'am, she's probably been there multiple other times. But now, Cornelius had this huge mural of himself. It was humongous. I was like, okay, Cornelius. I mean, people have pictures of themselves. I have some pictures of myself in my house, you know, my little digital picture frame, and in my little books, my little photo books. And mostly I'm in pictures with other people if it's a picture of me in my house. But hey, Cornelius, to each his own. I definitely don't usually see that in men's homes, but okay, I see you. The second group is Phil and Sabrina, who is his ex. Now, she's very gorgeous. Shiloh comes first. She hugs Phil, meets Sabrina. She sits down, and then Tasia, I keep calling her Tasia. Tasia shows up, and she's sitting, so it's Phil sitting at like the head of the table, his ex Sabrina, and then Shiloh. And since Tasia comes late, she sits on the other side of Shiloh. Sia is not feeling this arrangement. She doesn't like how they're sitting. She's like, well, we in a relationship with him. It should have been me to his right, Shiloh to his left, and then the ex could have been, you know, further down on one of them sides. But I'm like, girl, she was there first. Shiloh came next. They sat down. They not just gonna sit in an empty seat just so you can come and find somewhere to sit. That was like throwing her the whole day. She did not like how that felt. She didn't like that the ex was there. His ex seemed really nice. She started asking them questions, and it's like Shiloh was just in the moment and answering questions and asking her own questions, but Tasia could not get out of her head for the fact that she wasn't sitting in the right spot. So she asked him something like, deal breaker. What deal breakers? She said something about him not being affectionate. And then the bad trait is what she asked about the exes. So Tasia said, maybe they may say that I'm uptight and that I don't really go with the flow. And I'm thinking like, girl, this is a prime example because you are still up here annoyed by your seating arrangement. You can't even get through the day. So the girl was like, no, I mean like something like bad. And she was like, I said what I said, like I'm done with this question. I was like, Tasia, girl. But I guess she like, listen, I don't even want to be here on this date with you anyway. I'm already annoyed. And I told you what I said. Don't keep asking me the same question. Shiloh asked about Phil's red flags. Like, and Phil's like, okay, I guess Sabrina didn't understand the assignment because she's supposed to be giving me the dirt, not them the dirt on me. And she basically said communication. And he can tend to be less expressive. He needs to be more expressive. He does notice that Tasia seemed to be a little bit out of her element, and this has been the most kind of insecure he's seen her. Like she wasn't really certain of herself, and that was basically the end of that date. It was nothing much to write home about. I was surprised Aisha wasn't there, but maybe Phil is realizing like those two women still want kids. Aisha does not. Okay, next was Frank and Leah. So, Leah's his ex. So he was a biracial couple. And then Sydney and Moomin walk in. So I think that that's funny too because I'm like, okay, none of these women are even like your ex, resemble your ex, same nationality as your ex. And then, so I'm like, okay, so is this the norm for you? Or are they the norms for you? Like, it's very thought-provoking, and I would really like to know, you know, what his type really is, because, I mean, and then even with Sydney and Moomin, they are completely opposite to me, in my opinion. They're not like the same type of women, the same look or anything, so maybe Frank doesn't have a type. Maybe that's more so what it is. Him and Leah seem to have a really good, still kind of close relationship. They ask what type of woman does he need, and basically she said why did they break up or whatever. She said she just needed more attention, and Sydney was like, you know, that's how I am. And I think Frank started sweating or something, so Sydney goes over and wipes his face because she was sitting next to Leah, who was sitting across from Frank. Moomin was sitting next to Frank. So basically she had to see a seat. Yeah, basically she had to see a seat. But she walked on over there and wiped her little man sweat off. And I was like, oh, okay. And Moomin noticed too that Frank and her had, you know, a lot of chemistry. But she said she was like, you know, she could hold her own. Now, Leah did tell them that he is a family guy and kind of asked what their take on that is. And Moomin says that she's looking forward to that because she didn't really grow up in one of those type of families. So she is looking forward to it. And then Sydney, of course, says, I definitely want to have kids, but I want to be married first. And, I guess Leah was like, okay, those are the same things that Frank wants as well. And she basically said, it's just they're kind of the same people, when she just thinks that it's just her and Frank. She just kind of clings to him, and that's a boo, basically. Moomin says that she likes his heart. When Leah asks what she likes about Frank, she likes his heart and his heart for others, and that his kindness speaks to that he is special. So I'm like, okay, sounds real rehearsed and not really, I don't know. But I don't see Frank and Moomin. Now, Sydney and Frank have a really, really strong bond. You can already see that. I feel like they did like each other they knew of each other and they liked each other, I feel, before they even got on the show. But they definitely just got on the show and it just clicked immediately. Okay, Leah says it's hard for her to determine between the two women which one will be best for him. They're just two different types of women. One is outspoken but will sit back and observe. That's kind of Moomin. And then the beautiful, bubbly, outspoken one, that's kind of Sydney. So they're just kind of different. Next is Denise and Walter. Lord, when I say Denise, honey, his ex, I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming. Y'all let me know in the comments below if y'all saw that coming. Denise had fingernails this long. They curled up. They lime green. I think she had on a hot pink dress. I was like, Walter. Because his two women, I feel like, are the most sophisticated, calm women. You got Moomin. You got Sabrina. And I'm just like, what is your type, Walter? Because, again, here you go with all these different types of women. And I'm confused by Denise. That's what I'm going to say. They was like claws. Like, honestly, they was like claws. You could tell that Sabrina was taken aback when she came. Like, first of all, who is this woman here? She wasn't expecting to meet the ex. And then just look at it. It was so funny, though, because she was just trying to give a compliment. She's a fashion designer. She was just like, okay, I can see she has a lot of style and personality. And I was like, that was nice, Sabrina. Because I was side-eyed the girl with the long nails, the long yellow nails that Walter was dating in the past. She says that Sabrina is definitely physically his type and sophisticated. She asked her, is she a little crazy? And Sabrina was like, I am far too classy and fabulous. It'd be crazy. I was like, okay, girlfriend, that's what you say. The girl was like, what do you want to know about Walter? She was like, well, if I want to know anything about Walter, this is Sabrina talking, I will ask him myself, and I'll trust that he'll tell me the truth. I don't need a third party to tell me anything about him. So I was like, oh, she not having this. She not playing y'all games, honey. Y'all better bring somebody else in quick, fast, and in a hurry, because Sabrina's not having it. And just as Moomin walks in. We knew Walter and Moomin had a connection too, but I think they be being a little messy when they be bringing them all on the same exact day. But I guess they like, we're not going to keep filming and we're not going to do this over and over again on the same day. So y'all could all just come and kiki. But, Sabrina got her time first. So Moomin shows up and she was like, who else gonna walk up in here on this day? She said she's not really worried about it because Walter know where home is. He know where he gonna come back to. But Sabrina was pretty much over. She wasn't having it no more. She said, you know what, I have a styling engagement and I'll be going. So she left, gave Walter a little hug. Moomin gave him a hug coming up. They get to chatting. Denise seemed to really kind of vibe with her a little bit more. I think she did ask her, like, what she like in bed or something similar. And she was like, well, I'm celibate, so we could just, stop that part right there. But I am very seductive or something, so Walter can know, like, when we get there, it's gonna be good or whatever. And I guess the girl Denise is like, yeah, because Walter, he get down or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So she says she would pick Moomin over Sabrina because she thinks that she could be kind of crazy. Like, you say something she don't want, it could be kind of crazy. And so that's where she's going. Next up is Dante and his ex, Stacy. Now, that one, it seems like the ex, Stacy, still could like him. She didn't give any illusion that she was going to try to pursue him or nothing. But even Tommy asked later on, like, you didn't talk to us since y'all left? And he was like, yeah, a few times. I'm like, a few times? How long it's been since you met with her and you met with these women? So you just keep talking to her. Okay, Dante, Mr. I got 3 baby mamas. Dante. Anyway, Zadia and Shiloh are both on his date. First, I believe it is Zadia, and then Shiloh shows up. So Zadia is acting like to see and all of her feelings about this, and why is the ex here, and then why is Shiloh here, and so she really just ain't even feeling it. The ex, Stacy, she said I think Shiloh asked, like, would you still date him? You know, what is it about Dante? She said, you know, since moving to DC, he's grown so much. He is definitely matured. I can see his growth. And so that was like, well, would you still date him? And she was like, well, actually, you know, if I wasn't his ex, I would, because I have seen all his growth and his maturity. And so, you know, Charlotte was like, okay, that's a good sign. And then she was like, so what would you notice if he's into you? And then here goes Adia. And if he not, so she told Shiloh, like, physical touch both ways. Like, if he not, you know, feeling you no more, then you're not going to have that physical touch. But if he is very touchy-feely, then he is really feeling you. So the girl, Stacy, she basically says that Shiloh was, like, digging for gold, and the other girl wanted all the dirt. So she would pick Shiloh. And, yeah, that was basically it. So Dante does say, you know, he likes both of them, but I think he is starting to form a connection with Aisha. They've been talking on the phone. So I was like, oh, okay, that's out the blue. I never saw that one coming. But, okay, she didn't go with Phil. And I was like, yeah, we didn't really even see Aisha this week, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So next up is Naeem. Him and Zadia and his ex, Victoria, they all meet. The girl talking about, do she got a fat butt? Like, is that what you looking at, Naeem? And all this stuff. She talks to Zadia. She talks to him. Zadia was way better on this date. I don't know if it's because she was the only woman there and Naeem is, like, not playing the field, but it's just her. She just seemed a lot more calm. I guess maybe she already knew now, okay, it's going to be an ex here and I'm just going to go with the flow. They kind of had a good conversation, but at the end, the ex does say that she doesn't know that Zadia will be able to be there for him emotionally. So Naeem says that is a kind of a red flag for him. But, you know, he's just going to keep trucking along. And the girl's like, yeah, of course, because all you see is the big butt. I'm like, okay. Okay. Next, Sydney and Phil actually go on a date, which is strange because this is not an ex date, but this is just a date and it is their first date. So she says Sydney planned this date for them to go to her gym and work out because when she first arrived, Phil was out in the cut and he wasn't even studying her and paying her attention. I'm like, okay, Sydney, so that made you want him. But she was like, this hot guy who wouldn't even pay me attention. So I wanted to ask him out on a date. Now, Phil does say he did like her and wanted to ask her too, but she beat him to the punch. So, you know, Phil got his hands full. He went out with Cecilia. He went out with Aisha. He went out with Shiloh with the friends date. He got 3 people already. Now you trying to throw yourself in the mix, girl. But I mean, right now she only has Frank. And if Frank decided to choose movement, then she'd be out there. So, okay, girl, move around, move around, move around. Because if you don't, you end up like Sean, who went home. Okay, so anyway, they really had a lot of chemistry. And I was like, oh, okay, wow, I could kind of see this for them. I definitely can kind of see Sydney and Phil together now. That'll put a monkey wrench right on up in, especially if he chooses her when he already had 3 other contenders. Okay, so next is the Gentleman's Lounge with Tommy. And Frank basically says, you know, they all tell him what's going on. This what happened, this what the exes say. Dante said it was good to see his ex, and they talked a little bit more. I said, you trying to get back with the ex, Dante. And then he does mention about Aisha and how they've been talking. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Cornelius basically says the 3 engagements, and that's a little bit of a red flag. Tommy is like, are you ignoring the red flags? Which is what everybody wants to know, Cornelius. Are you? And then he says, okay, let's get to it. Who are you guys not feeling? Frank, Dante, they both say Tasia. Walter says Camille, you know, he want to say that, but he know Cornelius like her, and so he gonna defer to Cornelius, so he not gonna say her. Phil said Camille and Sabrina. They just never had a connection. Cornelius also says Sabrina. So it's time for eliminations. Tommy says, y'all need to let these girls know who's going home because guess what? There's a trip next week and they need to pack their bags for those who are staying. So Phil and Tasia go out and then Frank and Sabrina go out. So Phil and Tasia are out and basically he's saying, what are you taking away from this? And she's like, basically not to get flustered. And he was like, okay, well, that's really good, even though she definitely got flustered on his ex date. And he basically was like, well, we had a deliberation and people are just saying that they haven't seen enough of you and you come across kind of hard. And basically he tells her that she is not ready to love, but he really values her. That's why he's here telling her. It's just kind of how it goes. She's eliminated. Then Frank and Sabrina's talking and he's like, her body language is very standoffish. But I'm like, she know it's elimination time and that y'all ain't been on no dates. So she already know what this is about. So he just trying to like get her to loosen up and get her vibe. And I'm like, just get to it because you already know she doesn't want to be here. She already know what's coming up. She says, Frank is saying, it's time for people to start shrinking their connections. And she's saying, okay, so is this where you tell me that you and I are not going to, pursue anything? And he's like, no, I ain't saying nothing. Like, you ain't even let me talk or whatever. She's like, well, let's get to the bottom of it because I've reached out to you and I've reached out to you and you don't respond. You take forever. Like, so apparently you're not interested. And he basically was like, you know what? Your name came up. And it seems like there's unclear information being relayed. So I'm like, I don't know what the hell that's about. And maybe it was like she don't want kids and then somebody else thought she might want kids. I don't know, because Sean, I don't know. She said no directly, but she kept going out with Sean. So I don't know what is going on behind the scenes with that. She does say, well, I mean, I don't even know that I could have done more. I've reached out to several guys that have not responded back, that are not being engaging. But she's like, I just feel like I'm the one doing the pursuing and I'm just not really feeling it. Anyway, he tells her that she is still ready to love, pack her bag. She gets to go on the trip. So next up is week 9, which is where we are now. This just came on this past Friday. It is out of town and out of bounds. So basically it starts off with Walter and Sabrina. They're in the car driving up to wherever they're going. And she asked him, do she think that, we're a couple yet? But he still has movements, so he don't really answer that. And then Sabrina says, did you know I was a dancer? And he was like, what? And she's like, I was an exotic dancer, like for 10 years. And he was like, okay, that's a bit of a red flag, but okay. And I was just like, is this the time and the place? Is this appropriate? But they were in the car by themselves. So I'm like, okay, girl. Because I feel like any conversations y'all was having before then, maybe that could have come up then. But hey, if she wants to put it on the camera, then that's what she wants to do. She seems like a nice, classy woman right now today. She has her daughter. I don't know how old her daughter is. But maybe she was a single mom and needed to, make ends meet. Or heck, maybe that happened before she had her daughter. I don't know the case. But he doesn't seem like he's going to hold it against her, but he did say that that could be a red flag. Okay, next is Camille and Cornelius driving it, but they got Zadie in the back seat. So Zadie in the back seat, Camille and Cornelius, and they all kikiing, and Zadie and Camille talking about how they part of the Brown Girls group, the darker skinned women group. They also put movement in there, and it just be rocking with them. So I'm like, okay, so I see it's clicky, but okay. Zadia basically asked Cornelius and Camille, like, hey, so if y'all did this, what would y'all do? Would y'all get a new house? Would y'all move in together? And Camille's like, we're gonna get married. We're gonna get a new house. We're going to buy our house. And Cornelius like, we just taking this one day at a time. Camille did not like his answer. She had a little attitude. It was just like, girl, stop being so childish. So she was mad at him the rest of the ride, basically. Next up was Frank and Sydney. They walk into the house, Naeem greets Zadia when she finally comes in with a hug and a kiss. I'm like, okay, Naeem. Okay, show her that you like her. Moomin shows up and Walter is there. She goes to him. She's like, hey, check out this piano they got in here. So Walter actually plays, and then him and Moomin sing this song they wrote together called Stay Right or something. Stay Right. And they make this song up. She sings, you know, she's a singer. And he was singing and playing the piano. And it was really a cute little moment. And they sang together. She sat down. It was real, real cute. Then Dante says that Zadia was his number one. But, you know, it's not really being reciprocated. So he comes in and goes to Zadia's room and was like, oh, it's like all these rooms are taken. She was like, no, the other one's on the other side. Like, she didn't hug him. She didn't, like, greet him for real. She just was like, you need to go to the other side to find rooms. So he goes across, and guess whose room is right next door? It is Aisha across the hall. So, Zadia, you just basically sent him on. He's saying it's not being reciprocated. So, he's really into Aisha anyway, and they've always wanted to spend time together, and so that's what they're going to do while they're here. Tommy comes in and basically says, hey, y'all got this house. There's no distractions. Fellas, shoot your shots because one of y'all going home. And I'm like, here we go. But I feel like everybody got at least two people that they feeling. So I'm like, we still sending people home. Why don't the people they feeling just pick their top ones and then we leave it with the couples? But I guess it'll still be just way too many couples. So Sabrina and Walter are now sitting by the piano. And then I think Camille Cornelius and Moomin walk in. And Moomin was like, he was just very close off to me. Like, he was basically like, not now, like, don't come. She had came over to the piano like she was gonna sing with him again. But he was already sitting down with Sabrina at the piano. So I'm sure it was very much awkward. He wanted to give his full attention to who he already had it with. He had already had a little moment with her at the piano. And so Moomin gets irritated and storms off. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a thing. Zadia and Naeem at the pool, and she's letting him know that she already started a little bit of drama between Cornelius and Camille when she asked her a little question, and he was like, oh, so you just basically out here starting stuff. And she's like, no, I was just asking him his intentions. And, you know, so Naeem, he don't really seem interested in that conversation, but he's like, okay. Phil and Shiloh are talking, and basically she's like, how you feeling about me? You know, how you feeling about everything? And she was like, I know you got a whole lot of connections. I don't remember what he said, but whatever it was, it didn't sound like it rubbed her right. She was like, I'm trying to figure out how you like me. Heck, you got all these other people around. And then Moomin and Walter, they finally are by the pool. And basically, Moomin is going in on Walter, basically saying something is different when you're with Sabrina. And earlier today, I was trying to talk to you, and you basically didn't want nothing to do with me. He was like, let's not be catty. Let's not be all that. You was trying to, like, pull something over there by the piano when you knew I was already over there talking to her. You have other connections, and I let you do you. So basically just, like, let's not make this weird. She's like, it doesn't have to be weird, but I feel like somebody is manipulating you. I'm like, Sabrina's manipulating Walter? No, he's behaving how he wants to behave. Moomin, you sound crazy right now. She's saying, basically, it's like you don't even trust me, and it's because of her. She's making it. And I'm like, that is so strange, because every time Sabrina talks, she'd be like, I'm not worried about Walter's connections with anybody else. I don't even think she mentions Moomin at all, but Moomin apparently thinks that she does. So Moomin gets angry. She gets up and walks away because she was like, you don't want to be here with me. You don't want to be talking to me. He was like, well, I'm trying to make it right. Like, I'm trying to do that now. She gets up and walks away. And he was like, oh, yeah, I did not like that. So I'm like, oh, Lord, you about to go down. Because I'm like, Sydney and Frank are a thing. And then Walter and Sabrina, especially if you keep driving him away. Like, girl, I guess she still got Dante. Was it Dante? She had Dante. Anyway, on to the next couple, and it is Aisha. And basically, she's cooking in the kitchen. Dante's in the kitchen with her, and she was like, yeah, I throw down up here. Like, so if you want to marry me after you eat this meal, then my ring size is a 7. Like, let's get it. I'm like, they so funny. They're super physical touch. That's what his ex told her told the other women last week. It's like when he's all touchy-feely, then you in. But I'm like, he be touchy-feely with a lot of people because he got all these baby mamas. And Shiloh, and then Zadia, and Aisha. So anyway, she was like, yeah, I got you some vegan stuff. He was like, oh, that was like, you know, super thoughtful. And yeah, they just wanted to find some time to be together. They said they have gotten super close in this short period of time because, you know, they were not each other's top picks at the beginning, but you know, they're just so happy to be there together. Next, Camille sets up her little individual date with Cornelius. I think she bringing flowers. Did she bring in flowers? Something like that. Oh, not flowers, but she said she had a surprise for him. So he like, okay, what is it? She gives him this necklace. She says, this is a necklace. And basically, it's something about their ups and downs that they've been having in a relationship. She was like, we both at some point wanted to, you know, walk away. He was like, both of us or just me. She was like, no, I said both of us. But anyway, it says, God is greater than our highs and our lows. And so I guess this could be a really sweet gesture. But Cornelius is like kind of side-eyeing to Jessica because he's like, because she could be kind of messy at times. But he want to make sure that they are not moving too fast. So I'm like, Cornelius is not all in, but he would rather keep the arguments to a minimum, I guess. So he just go along with most of the stuff she says. They go to dinner. I mean, they're having the dinner that Aisha cooked. And Cornelius actually goes and sits right next to Camille. And she was like, babe, shouldn't you be across from me? And he was like, you want me to sit across from you? And she was like, yes, I can look directly into your eyes. So he was sitting by Sabrina's. And he gets up and moves on across the table. And Sabrina's like, talks to the confessional like, Cornelius, blink if you need something. You need some help, sir? She ain't the only one. There's some other housemates too. Like, Cornelius, you okay over there? Because, and Dante like, yeah, it could be me. Like, Camille is crazy. And Cornelius, yeah, it couldn't be me, basically. There's this whole little blow up between Aisha and Zadia yet again. It actually started with Camille. So I think Aisha was saying everybody deserves a connection. Oh, Camille was saying something like, yeah, we found our connection. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And Aisha was like, but I mean, we all deserve to find a connection. So what if Cornelius is in the bottom because he's not making connections with anybody else? And Camille was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I F all y'all up. Like, what, girl? Now, it's a table with everybody at the table. Things get heated. Aisha and her go back and forth. But really, Camille just be quiet. And then Zadia becomes her bulldog all over again. So I'm like, okay. I get it now. Zadia is bit out of shape because Dante is now liking Aisha. Because I couldn't understand why they had this fight situation like 2 weeks ago, but I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, that was out of left field, and Zadia was being extra aggressive. So Sabrina was like, it seems like Aisha just wanted to give her own opinion, and Zadia basically, she just didn't want to be ganged up on by Zadia and Camille, and it just wasn't cute. Naeem across the table talking about some Zadia is always, doing stuff, but I don't pay no attention because it's immature. Like, I don't give energy to that. Cornelius is saying it's a red flag, how Camille is dealing with this situation. Dante kind of checks on Aisha, but Phil is the one who actually, like, takes her out, goes and talks to her, has a nice little conversation, trying to calm her down. Like, why are you even letting these people argue with you about your process? If it's your process, it's your process. You don't have to go, stoop down to your level. But, he's kind of being a peacemaker and all this stuff. So Phil was talking to her at the I think at the piano maybe. But they were somewhere and they were talking. Then Dante comes in this silk robe playing and talking something. She'd had a long day. I'm about to take her somewhere. So he had got this massage table he brought. And he want to give her a massage. She was like, ooh, yes, what did she say? My back and my gluteus maximus needs attention. I'm like, girl, you crazy. But yeah, so they get the massage and he gets to calm her down. And they liking each other, honey. Next up is breakfast. And somebody mentions, I think it was Frank or something like, oh, the energy at this table is way different than last night. Now, mind you, Zadia and Camille are not at the table. Tommy calls out the women. He basically tells the men, like, the one of you who is not going to be here, I'll see you back. I'll see the rest of y'all that's still around when we get back to the city. But right now, I got to go talk to the women. So he goes to talk to the women. And basically, he's like, let's get to the love. Because they started telling him all about their little fight they had. at the table, and he's like, this is ridiculous. This show is not about this fighting. It's about the love. So let's just get down to that. Who y'all feeling and who y'all not? So, of course, Sabrina says Walter. Moomin said, she was like, the trip has brought her and Walter closer. And Moomin was like, actually, it's the complete opposite for me. I used to like Walter, but this trip has definitely fizzled the connection that we had. Aisha says Dante, they never went on the date, but they have gotten so close and all this. So Zadia looking crazy. And she says, yeah, Dante was strong with her from the beginning, and Naeem was basically, you know, letting her make her decision. And he's giving her space when she needs it. Sydney says Frank is everything to her. That's bae. Camille says Cornelius, of course. She wants to walk down the aisle this time. And here she go again, bringing up them damn 3 engagements. Tommy like, how many times you been engaged? She like 3. I'm like, Camille, stop. It's not a badge of honor, girl. Stop telling everybody. Don't nobody care you've been engaged 3 times. It's nothing to be braggy about, especially when you never got married. Whew, child. Sabrina says that Cornelius is not ready for Camille. He can handle it. Anyway, they go down to who they are not feeling. Zadia says she is not feeling Walter. Sabrina said Cornelius. Aisha said Cornelius. Shiloh said Cornelius. Sydney said Naeem. Moomin, Shiloh, Aisha all said Naeem too. They said he's kind of up and down. He doesn't really make connections. Zadia be trying to stick up for her man. And she says, you know what? I have been talking to him about that. Like, you're not building connections with people. It doesn't have to be romantic, but you're not even engaging. So basically they get to the bottom 2, and honey, it is the 2 brown skinned girls who, I guess Moomin is supposed to be a part of the group, but she does not play the mean girl card like they do. But it's Naeem and it is Cornelius. So Zadia and Naeem sit down, and then Camille and Cornelius sit down. He says he always likes to hang out with Zadia, but, you know, the timing is a little bit suspect. And she gets right to it. You know, we had a deliberation, and basically he said he tried not to have expectations, but he felt like he was following his heart and being, you know, intentional in his movements. Then it goes to Camilla Cornelius, and she like, I might be about to cry. God brings people together. She's doing this whole little soliloquy. She was like, but I'm going to cry. And then she talks about the deliberations, and then there's a cliffhanger. So that is the end of episode number 8, out of town, but out of bounds and out of town, something like that. And so they got to go back to the city, and we don't know which of them 2 are going home. Like, at this point, I think at least Camille and Cornelius actually have a really strong connection. They've always been each other's top, so I think they should stick around because it is about ready to love. Now, Naeem and Zadia, I think they like each other, but she was still trying to figure out the Dante situation. So I don't know. I just really hate that they even had to send anybody home. Let me know what you guys think about these last 2 episodes. I was talking to my mom the other day, and I just really feel like I'm not really feeling this season. I don't see any really like strong connections. I don't think anybody is like falling. Now, I know that none of the people from last season actually stayed together, but like Vernisha and Joel, it seemed like from the beginning they were like lovebirds. Even Chris and I forgot the DA's, the girl who worked in the DA's office. Young lady, sorry, the attorney. I forgot her name. But they was even putting on Amber, I think. Amber and Chris, they were putting on. And then Jason didn't even, what is that name? They just finally broke up. Liz. Jason and Liz. I never really saw them anyway. I did see Vernisha and Joel. I'll say that. But I liked also AJ and Kyra. I thought she liked him too. But this time I'm just not really seeing it. I think Frank and old girl like each other, but they kind of just started, so it will be a lot. But I know they've known each other in the past, so maybe that's helping them out. Cornelius doesn't seem to be all the way on board with Camille, but she's on board with him. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts on this particular season. I'm just not really feeling DC. DC did not give me all the feels I thought it was going to give me. Let me know if y'all feel the same way. Anyway, It is Vlogmas. That is why I've been so busy and why I'm so behind, because I'm putting out a video each and every day of the holiday season, 1st through the 25th of December. You know, letting you guys know all things holiday related. So definitely, if you have not yet, check out Vlogmas 2021. Yeah, definitely check that out. I have more videos coming, and yes, hopefully you'll see these two very, very soon. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to watch. Also, the finale of The Bachelorette will be coming up. I have 2 of those videos to still do for you guys. So yes, definitely come back, hit the notification bell so you can be notified each and every time I post.